Hi, everyone. Welcome to The Big Twist, where we talk to creatives about the plot twists in their lives. I'm Anna Carini.
And I'm Angela Trevino.
And we are here with our guest today.
Hi, I'm Christine Lynn. I'm an actor. I'm also an engineering consultant. I'm a mom. I practice martial arts. I like cats, all that kind of stuff.
I love it.
I'm a DIYer at home.
Wow, is there anything you don't do?
What don't I do? I don't clean bathrooms.
I like that you draw that line.
Awesome.
I don't
You have
clean
your
bathrooms.
husband clean bathrooms?
He did, and now that we have 2 kids, we have someone come and help us with that. It's already enough just to pick up the entire house before the cleaners come, so we relieve ourselves of that.
No, that's a great thing. That is a luxury.
Yes.
Oh, I would love. My partner, he refuses. He's like, we can clean the house. And I'm like, okay, I'm like, I don't love to clean the house. And that's something I'm willing to find in my budget. I would love to budget and figure out how to have someone else come do that for me because I hate it. I like most recently, he things that just, we've both been so busy and the place was a wreck. And I was finally like, can we maybe revisit this conversation of having someone help us out? And the next thing I know, his next day off, I came home and the entire place was like spotless. And I was like, oh no, he really wants to do this. Okay.
He really doesn't want someone
I
in his
think you
face.
can.
I don't know if it's that. It's more the money. I think he just wants to like save money. I have no idea. But
There's also like oh, I'm now somebody, like the identity of it of like, oh, I have someone come and clean. I think it was hard for my husband to accept that like someone would come and like help us. He was like, no, we can do it ourselves and like take care of things ourselves. We don't need extra help. It felt too privileged, I guess.
no, that's real talk. There's something to it. You're right.
And I was like, I cannot, like the cost of this, having somebody else do it versus us spending our own time do it, and also the energy and like, what is our life? Also, though, it forces us to clean our house at least once a month before someone comes to.
Yeah.
Also, you have 2 kids, so like
That's also, there's that. But I was going to say, for me, it's one of those things where like I rent a 1-bedroom apartment, it's like it's not like I make a ton of money, but having someone come in once in a while and do a thorough clean makes you feel so much better about the space, because like even me like pouring my heart and soul into cleaning, like I do literally a 10th of the job that she does. Like she's amazing. She'll go through the drawers and like
professional
vacuum the drawers.
The
and, like,
drawers?
rearrange or clean the fridge. Like she'll pick like different projects to do every time she comes in. Her name's Sarah. I highly recommend her.
Amazing.
But it's like she, it is a skill set, right? So just like anything in life, right? You can pay a professional to do it, or you can do an amateurish job yourself, right? So if you want a deep clean once in a while, I totally think it's worth it.
Yes. It makes you feel like your own house is like the vacation place. You don't have to run away from it, know? You're like, I'm here and I can relax in my own home.
And that lasts for about like 2 days before it gets dirty again. I get so mad. Me and my boyfriend joke. It's like, oh, Sarah came. Like, look at the sink. It's like white. It's like sparkling. And it literally will last 2 days.
Don't touch it. Don't use it.
We try to have people come over like right after a cleaning because it's like, oh, this is our best, this is peak time for someone to come.
That's hilarious. I love this. I love where this went. Let's start with our rapid fire questions to get us going. What would be your perfect day in LA if you could have one?
I think it would start with a hike of some sort in the morning, before it gets too hot. And then maybe after a little hike up to like Griffith and like seeing the city of LA, coming down and having brunch at Alcove. It's probably going to be a lot of food.
Great.
Like half of a sandwich and then like half of a big dessert. And then maybe after that, everybody can go home and like shower and like rest, have a nap. And
this is so luxurious. I love this.
And then like maybe an early dinner, maybe we'd have Korean barbecue. And then, I don't know, karaoke. Maybe I'll finally go dancing at the Abbey. I hear that's a thing.
What's the next one? Oh, what's your favorite television show of all time?
Oh, it's so hard to pick a favorite, but I think the one that I keep coming back to would be Parks and Rec.
Oh, that's a great one.
Okay.
But starting with season 2. season 1, they were still figuring out what the show was and their dynamic and stuff. So I always tell people just start from season 2. But it's so fun and funny and just like comforting.
I remember being so excited when I went to Pasadena City Hall and realized that's where they filmed it.
Oh my gosh,
so
I
if you
didn't
ever
realize
want to
that.
make
Okay.
a trek, yeah, that's where they film it. And it's, you'll see it. And you'll be like, oh, that's the show.
Oh.
I geeked out when I saw it.
That is so cool.
What would you say is advice you want to give up?
Easy. Staying up too late. You know, being on my phone. I already added a screen app that you can like add different things to it, and it'll ask you every 10 minutes or every 7 minutes, is this important?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Wait, so will it do it when you open something new?
It'll do that. Yeah. So sometimes I'll go for, a couple of days when I'm not opening Instagram because I don't want to be asked that question.
Wow. That's a great app. It's like judging you.
Yeah, basically. And I think you can change it to other things, to say other things as well. And you can do some where you can group them into different groups so they can be different amounts of time. Sometimes I am like, yes, this is important. I was trying to post something. Please let me back in.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's called Screen Zen, and I highly recommend it.
This is great. Does it do the voice that you did? Because that was great. Is this important?
It's just text.
Oh, it's just text. It doesn't.
So
talk
it's
to you.
whatever voice is in your head.
Whatever voice. I liked what was in your head with how you did it.
I do love the idea of adding a judgmental voice. So maybe we can write to them about this.
Add it for their
How
next
to make
update.
it even worse for you. What is your biggest strength and your biggest weakness?
I feel like I'm going to start with the weakness, which is that I have trouble finishing things, or I sometimes want to do too much, and then I run out of time, and then I am very disappointed, and it's frustrating. But maybe that's also the other side of the strength, which is that I'm always willing to try. And so, yeah, I'm like, well, why don't we try? Let's just like see what we can get away with, And I think that has been very helpful in my career, and just try, let's just take one little baby step and see what happens.
Love that.
You strike me as a fearless person.
Oh, that's so kind.
Yeah, someone who would just go and do anything that's, as long as you're not going to endanger your life, you're like, yeah, why not?
Yeah, I would like to think that I'm a curious person, and I do try to think of what are the possible things that could go wrong. But overall, I'm like, I think we can like think this through and like feel comfortable enough to try. Sometimes courage, isn't it like courage is just doing things even when you are scared?
Mm-hmm.
So,
So we would love to hear from you a story that gives us a little insight into your character.
I will tell you about the fork in the road in my career then between engineering and acting. I went to school for engineering. I studied biomedical and electrical engineering, thinking that I would become a doctor. And then the MCATs came and I was like, I don't want to do this. So I suffered through all of the pre-med requisites or prerequisites, and I didn't do any of them. That's okay. That's a different story. And so I got a job as an engineer. I worked for a pharmaceutical company, and I did a whole bunch of different kinds of engineering. It was sort of a program within the company. So which is kind of glamorous, I guess. They sent you to different locations, and you got to work on all these different assignments. But I just found I wasn't quite as satisfied as some of the other people in the program. Like they seemed really fulfilled, I guess, meeting people and networking and working towards, I don't know, maybe like a townhouse in the suburbs by the time they were 30 and driving a certain kind of car and kind of climbing the corporate ladder. And I was like, oh no, I don't care about any of these things. And I started looking for hobbies. I think I did salsa lessons, and I joined like an after work sand volleyball at like a bar. And I was like, maybe I just need more hobbies. But then I realized like, oh, maybe I have made a mistake. Maybe I have made a mistake in doing a whole engineering degree, and this was incorrect. And so I asked myself this difficult question of, if I was forced to go back to school, what would I study? And I was like, well, I would really like to study acting, and see what that was. Acting had always been a part of my middle school and high school extracurriculars, but I always saw it as like a side hobby or like the thing you did after school was done, after the AP classes and all the real homework, right? The real work. That was just for fun. But this was something that I wanted to do more of. So I started taking a class. And then that led to another class. And that led to, oh, well, why don't you look into industrials, which is like corporate internal videos. And since I was already in the corporate world, I was like, I can do that. I have a suit, like I can show up with a resume that's properly formatted. And
what a great crossover.
Yeah.
What a great way to like get in.
Yeah. I was like, I have several suits. I know what they're looking for. A generally pleasant and capable person, usually is what they wanted. And so that's how I started sort of moonlighting as an actor while still doing my engineering job. And I guess you could call it quiet quitting. But I just started shifting my focus or doing both, Sometimes I would print out sides at work or I would be reading scripts in my downtime between projects and stuff. And I auditioned for this show, a play. It was a community theater production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. And they cast me as Cinderella, which is like so lovely and amazing. I think it was because I wasn't a high school student or a middle-aged woman at the time. So,
but you're the lead.
But I was the lead, yeah. And I was like, this is so exciting. And it was my first foray back into performing on stage. And I was really excited about that. And so work was going great. I had a really important project in Illinois. And then also this show and rehearsals were going and everyone was so nice and it was really fun. And then my boss, maybe my boss's boss, they were like, well, we want to send 2 members of our team to California to do a project that is 2 weeks on and a weekend back. And that'll be the schedule for who knows how long. And I was like, no, thank you. And I think they wanted to send me and another person on our team because we were unmarried and, single. And maybe they just wanted to show that our team was super flexible and could service all parts of the company.
Like, those of us with kids, we'll just stay back and leave.
Or maybe they thought we would be more likely to say yes, Wow. But this other person had just gotten into business school in Chicago. And so was like, no, I don't want to do that either. And so I said, no, like the project I'm working on here is really quite important. So I'll just keep doing that. And there are some other reasons that I don't want to leave right now. And so I thought that was sort of the end of it. And then I got called into my boss's office. And I thought, oh, okay, what's going on here? And he asked me, are you sure you definitely don't want to accept this project?
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like, yeah, no, I think the project I'm working on is very high level. And so I'm useful here. And he said, okay, well, please sign this. And he slid a sheet of paper across the desk. And it said, like, you will be let go in 90 days, basically. You have 90 days, and then we are going to let you go.
Whoa.
And I was like, well, here is the fork in the road, right? I either stay with the engineering or I do this community theater show for fun. But I had already been thinking about it, and my mother had already asked me, like, the questions of like, what are you going to do as an actor? Like, do you even know how much money you spend every month? And honestly, those are the hard questions. The things that take courage to look at the numbers, right? Because I didn't. I lived at home and I made much more than I really needed to spend because I lived at home and happily. And I didn't know what that would look like. But I'd already started thinking about it, right? I'd already started saving. I thought, okay, well, let me just save up for just in case. Here it was. And maybe this was the thing that pushed it over the edge, but the boss's boss was like, you sure you don't want to talk to your parents about this?
Wow.
I was like, how dare you?
Oh,
wow. I'm a grown adult.
Give me a
I was like, I know I look young and I know that I am perhaps half your age, but yes, I am sure. And so I signed it.
Wow.
And there we are.
That is an incredible story to illustrate who you are. Because that's just, I am so impressed. I feel like most people, I don't want to speak for other people, but I know it would be really hard for me to not stick with the thing of like the security and the stability. And you were like, I have gone to school for this. I have a degree in this. But I want to do this. And now it's time for this. And I'm going to go do it. And I feel like that's a very good Christine Lynn story.
Oh, thank you. I think, I mean, maybe it speaks though too to how unsatisfied or how dissatisfied I was with the work that I was doing.
Sure.
I mean, I remember once I had to go out and buy work shoes, which are like, they have to be practical and be able to go into a construction zone, but also like look professional, which means like loafers or Mary Janes with like a slight chunky heel. And I remember being in the store and I was like, I hate these shoes. I just hate them. And my friend who was with me, who was also a fellow coworker, was like, well, maybe that says something.
That's amazing. A pair of shoes can reveal
Absolutely
how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I remember
really cool
I remember working at an agency and it was the same thing, William Morris Endeavor. And we had to have a certain dress code and, you know, wear very fancy clothes all the time and high heels. I have not worn high heels in literally years. My feet would not, maybe like 5 years, unless I go to a wedding, that's different. But you know, it's like, it does say a lot about the job, how you need to show up to the job, right? Because it requires a certain level of professionalism. Like there is something very laid back about the culture of the entertainment industry. Well, at the same time, obviously it can be very stressful, right? But you can show up to work in jeans and no one's going to bat an eye, right? Like you can express your creativity through your clothes, which is not the case for other professions.
Yeah. And it was, I mean, all the people were nice. And actually you could wear jeans since we were engineers, but yeah, the shoes and having to, I was ready for something else. And
I love that.
Amazingly, afterwards, that's also how I switched into, where I kept a side hustle of engineering consulting. And it was through the people that I worked with. My immediate boss, I was set to go out to lunch with another contractor that I was like, oh, well, how do they do that? You know, let me find out, how do I become, maybe I can still use my engineering degree to like support my acting dream. And so we were going out to lunch, and right as we were leaving, my immediate group manager was like, oh, where are you all going? And we said, oh, we're going out to lunch. And he's like, okay, I'll come with you. And I was like, oh no, I'm trying to talk about what I'm gonna do after I leave this job. But I think I just said, like, actually, I was going to ask Steve about how he became a consultant and a contractor. I mean, and my manager was like, oh, you would consider doing this afterwards? Well, then maybe I can just hire you back into the project that we're already doing.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And so it was this very crazy thing. Yeah, I was like, that would be great. And usually when you leave like a corporate job, they will make you wait like a year before you can come back as a contractor. But because that project was so important, they were building a new development lab. And so it was very high profile and they needed it like yesterday, right? So he was like, maybe I can get an exception. Let me see. And he did. I mean, bless him. He's like so amazing and supportive. And so I like finished out the 90 days. I took whatever the vacation that I had left. It was maybe a couple weeks. And then I came back to do exactly the same thing that I was doing before. But as a contractor, it was technically part-time, but I was basically making the same amount of money.
Wow. That's so indicative of like sometimes when you make a brave choice, you can have your cake and eat it too. Yeah.
But you have pretty great. And also your authenticity and your honesty of just like when you that lunch, you could have just been like, oh, I'll talk to them about this later. And you were like, no, you need to know what's about to happen here. And and your boss responded to it and was like, oh, well, wait, what can we do here to keep you around?
You know, it takes a village. And like, I think sometimes we forget how people want to help. You know, people want to help and people want to, or they relate. And I recently reconnected with that manager on LinkedIn or something. And he was like, yeah, you know, like now I'm doing something totally different, which is like wonderful and like really interesting. And I had my, when I was leaving, my boss's boss, so the guy between the two people, he said, you know, I was a little worried when you signed that paper and you agreed to leave. You know, I think you're leaving too soon. But he's like, I'm really inspired by this. And it's caused me to think about what it is that I want to do with my remaining years. And I know. And I'm not sure where you
caused a revolution there.
Right?
Yeah,
totally
3 other people quit and went on to become
I was like, wait, what do I want to do with my life? Look at the boldness of Christine. I mean, what am I doing?
20-something, like leaving, just throwing everything away is probably what they thought it was. But
I would love to hear
inspired by you.
The journey that happened afterwards, right? So you left this job. You obviously were still consulting for them. And then what was your acting journey after that?
That's a great question. So after I became a consultant first time or a contractor full time, I was then free to move into Chicago, which is where I met Anna.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I moved in because I was in the Second City Conservatory program,
the
nice. Improv program.
That was hard to get into.
Yeah.
Congrats.
It was another example of like, well, let me just see what I can get away with. And there are different audition steps and they just kept letting me in. And I was like, I guess I keep going then. And it was
a great attitude.
Yeah, it was really great. I was like, well, I'll start because it looks good to have improv on your resume for commercial auditions. And then I totally loved it and fell in love with it. Yeah. So I moved into the city so that I didn't have to drive in all the time and just to be closer, I guess, and started being in the Chicago storefront theater world and coming up there and taking different classes and meeting different people. And it was probably still is such a beautiful place for people, for young people, for starting people to make things.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's a great community.
Great community and just so affordable,
True. It's a good point.
I'm so curious about in what context specifically you two met. Did you work together as actors, actresses?
You want to tell, Christine?
Sure. I was looking through our emails for the information for this podcast, and I saw Anna emailing me and to arrange an audition for the show that her theater company was producing. So that's how I met Anna, was through a show called Days of Late by Braden Lubell, and Cinnamon produced it and had so many wonderful actors in it. Unfortunately, I didn't get to act with you, but
I was not in it. I was the artistic. This was the theater company I had at the time in Chicago with a bunch of other people, and I was the artistic director. I think I was co-artistic director with Stefan at this time. And so I was not in it, but it was a fantastic production that our theater company produced. And we had a lot of outside, we had a lovely ensemble, but we cast a lot of outside members for this production specifically. Christine was one of them. And it was wonderful to work with her and watch everybody. And it was great. It was great. We made some lifelong friends in that show. Mm-hmm. And it was a while ago. And it was incredible. And you were wonderful.
It was such a great experience.
And you were part of that crew. A lot of us all just started moving out here.
So that kind of dives into my next question, which is what brought you out to LA? What else did you do in Chicago before you took the plunge to come here? Since I know that's a big deal for actors, right? Where you start in a third market and then move here.
Yes. Well, I'd already been thinking about maybe it was time to move on from Chicago that season, probably starting with Days of Late and then through the next spring. But I realized I had just been doing so many great shows. I think I was the lead in 2 shows, and then I did a show at the Goodman Theater. I was the one local hire that they had come in for a new play.
And for folks who don't know, the Goodman is a fantastic theater in Chicago, and it is like every actor's dream to work with the Goodman, right?
Yes,
like when you're there, be on their stage.
Wonderful, and it's just like, downtown and fun theater.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. And it was such a great experience. And I was thinking during that rehearsal process, I think this is it. This is the top of the ceiling for me, because I think there is a limit, to being an actor, for that to be your sole job. And I think actually Chicago is not really built to support actors only acting or creatives only creating. They have to also have something else. And Chicago is a great city for that. If you want to have a day job and then do theater in the evening, it is great for that. But somebody was telling me that they ran the numbers and they were like, if you were in 4 productions at the Goodman, which paid the best, I think, or like paid top. Yeah.
In a year.
That would net about like, I think they said $32,000. And it was like, this is not enough to barely support yourself. But then also if you have a family, if you're trying to like buy a home or something. And so there was just this feeling that like, oh, if you want to do, if you want more than this, then you have to leave. And I think I took a class and Amy Morton came in to like guest speak. And she was like, we're not here to become rich or famous in Chicago. If you want that, you got to go somewhere else.
However, Amy Morton is a very famous actress in Chicago. She is. I mean, at least we all know her, where she's done a lot, and everyone in the Chicago theater community really knows who Amy Morton is.
Yeah. She's like, we're here to do good work. And I was like,
she told it to you straight though. I mean, I love
she always
the honesty.
Amy always has. Yeah. She's a Steppenwolf Ensemble member.
Yeah. And just
another great
amazing
theater in Chicago. Can you tell us a little more about the Goodman show that you felt like we were kind of at the top tier for you in Chicago? Tell us a little more about this experience.
Yes. The show is called Chinglish by David Henry Hwang. And it was a new show then, premiering at the Goodman. And it is about an Ohio businessman who goes to China to basically I think he's like a sign salesman. So it's about the signs, like signage in China that is often mistranslated. So he's like, we're here to help you and trying to like close a deal for his company. And it's a story about kind of that cultures like not clashing, but trying to interact and communicate with each other. So communicating across cultures and like relationships across cultures. And so I was a translator in one of the scenes, and it's a comedy. And so, the roar of the crowd during that scene is like one of the highlights, like my cherished memories for me.
I love this. And this was the original production, right?
This was
at
the
the
original
Goodmans. This was the first production of Chinglish.
Yes. Then I got a call that they were going to move the show to Broadway. And would I like to go with it? Would I like to move myself there to
actor's dream?
I know.
Come on.
And I was in Italy at the time because I had scheduled a trip with my sister
Christine,
to
your
like
life.
run around. I know. I was like, I'm
in Italy when I get the call to go to Broadway. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah,
Where in Italy were you? Do you remember?
I was in Rome. I think I was like in the hostel, with the Wi-Fi signal, and I get an email from my agent, and I was like, I think I have to call. Excuse me. Let me find the one corner with good internet service and call home. I was like, is this for real? And it was such a crazy thing. I had scheduled that trip though, because I think I kind of felt like the time being in Chicago was ending. And I was like, okay, as soon as this show closes, me and my sister are going to like run around and stay in hostels in Europe for like 2 weeks or something. And that'll be kind of, when I come home, I will think about and plan the next move.
Wow.
And so I thought I was going to move to LA actually, but because it's sunny and, that's where all the TV and film, very glamorous and less scary and intimidating than New York. But here we are. Then I moved basically into Times Square.
Wow. Is that where you lived?
I lived in Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, I love Hell's Kitchen.
But
That's
a friend
like
of
my
mine
favorite
was like,
part of New York.
if I have to get off at Times Square, like you live in Times Square, not coming here
It's
anymore.
close. It's close.
Yes.
So could you walk? It was like you could walk to work.
Yes.
Nice.
So yeah, then I did the show. It ran for 3 months in New York, and then I got an agent from that and started. I think I got my first TV credits in New York.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
What TV show?
It was Gossip Girl.
Ooh.
Yes, I was clipboard lady.
Hey, nice.
So
Well done, clipboard lady.
And the horse race. It was great.
And how was that being on Broadway? What was that? What did the experience do for you?
It was such a beautiful experience. I mean, it's the dream. I think the house that had 900 seats. And so for that one scene too, it was the third in a series of translator scenes. So it was, I think, the loudest one, and walking off stage, you're just like,
what a high.
Yeah.
God, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome. So then you had the culture shock of coming from New York to LA.
Yes.
And this was once you had representation. So did you have something lined up? Like, did you have a role lined up or came out here, started auditioning?
No, and I had to leave my agents actually.
Wow.
I left my agents. Commercially, I was able to transfer, but I still had to sort of audition for them. And I'm like, come on, guys. But they were like, we're different over here.
That's how it works. Yep, that's what they do.
We need to all approve. I mean, fortunately, they did.
It was such a thing in LA, right? It's like we all have to approve before you can come on board.
And you had to audition for them? That's so unfamiliar for me. It would
or
be
not
like,
audition, but like meet with them.
Yeah.
And then they
got
had
it.
to have a discussion
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
whether
yeah,
or not
yeah.
I fit into the roster.
Yeah.
And thankfully, I did. But in New York, I met my now husband through Chinglish, actually.
Didn't he come to see the show?
He did.
He was an audience member.
He came
No
with his mom
way.
to see the show because he had taught English in China for a year. And so he was like very familiar with mistranslated signs in China.
I don't think I realized that. Okay.
Yeah, and he had started to take Chinese lessons when he came back to New York. So he was just in it, and interested. And afterwards, there was a talk back. There was a Q&A, and he asked a question, and I didn't answer it. But as we were leaving the theater, then we struck up a conversation. And
wow.
I love that story.
That's great.
I didn't know if you were going to tell it or not. I love it.
Did he say it was like love at first sight for him, or was he immediately?
I was interested, but I don't think, I don't think either of us are quite like that. We're more like, well, let's see how we go. Yeah. It's the little things of interest, that
I love that.
You don't dive headfirst into love. You take your time with it.
But I think that's true too in acting. It's like, oh yay, like I'm excited about this callback, or I'm excited to be put on hold, but like I'm gonna hold my full excitement for when I see the offer, right? When we see the money.
Yep. Yeah. And then when you're actually on set.
Right. And like, let's wait until I actually see that I made the final cut.
Exactly. Right. I'm often like, I don't even think I'm going to tell anybody about this until it's come out and I know I'm in it.
Yeah.
No, it's so true. I had a friend that was put on hold and she was super excited. And then it was like, they released the hold and it's like,
The holds are so funny because that was a funny lesson for me to learn when I was in Chicago and I was booking commercials. I like the first few that I booked, like I was put on hold and then booked, like the first 3 or 4 that I booked. And so I was like, oh, this is just how it works. This is just the process. You get put on hold and then you get the job. Right. And I remember talking to a friend of mine and they were like, that is not at all how it works. You more often don't get the job. I don't know how you've like done like 3 or 4 right in a row and that's all you know. And then I very quickly became acquainted with the way it actually goes. But yeah, that was funny to learn that.
Both sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The highs and the lows.
The highs and the lows and the drama of what we do.
I know.
So after moving here, like, can you walk us through the next steps there?
Yes. So I guess career-wise, the next steps are to set up your agents, get your representation. For me, anyway, I found that most of my bookings have come through my representation. I know there are other people who are like, they know people and then they're just so beloved, they're like called onto the show or whatever, or they get an audition that way. But not for me. I just go in and I audition and I just happen to be what they were looking for. But so that was like the first thing. I think it was I got here and I was like, I want to be immersed in the community. So like, let's reach out to people that I already know and also start like meeting people in the industry. So it's taking a lot of classes with casting people and with directors and just meeting other actors and stuff too. And one of them invited me to see a diversity showcase that one of the networks was putting on. And it was a live, performance and it was really fun. And I was there and I just started chatting with the person next to me who was a manager. And I said, oh, are you like representing somebody in the show? And he said, no, I was hoping to come here to pick somebody up, but they all look represented. And at the very end of the show, after chatting, he like hands me his card and is like, well, if you're looking and you want to come in for an interview, like come on in or whatever. And that's how we met and how he signed me.
Christine, I love this. I feel like so many of your experiences are just like, well, no, that's not true. But I was going to say, you just like put yourself out there. You put yourself in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Or it's maybe it's that like being prepared and then when the opportunity is there. But
that too.
I was open. I was looking. He's like, don't tell anyone that story. It sounds like I picked you up. And I'm like, please, I picked you up, okay? Like, I was the one looking for representation.
Something I was always so interested in and curious about is that I knew that while you were having this fantastic acting career that I was following and loving every minute of, that I knew you were also still consulting, right? You were an engineer as well at the same time. And I was always like, God, good job, Christine, that you just like had this other thing that was so specific that you could do while also pursuing your craft and being able to do both. So like where are you with those now? Or did you ever start scaling back on the consulting, or how do those work together?
I actually didn't start scaling. I mean, maybe a little bit. I have 2 kids now. And so, there were times when I was like, I can't do as much right now. But actually it was the engineering that scaled back on me. And I just like held on to as much as I could while I was doing it. I mean, when the show moved to Broadway, because most of the actors already knew the show and there was less, sort of rehearsal. So I still had time to do the engineering work. And so that was the time that I was really kind of squirreling away everything that I could, because I knew it's not going to last forever, or like it might not last forever. So, and also I didn't know that many people in New York. So it's not like I had like so many friends to like hang out with and stuff like that. I was like, I might as well,
So it's like by day you were like still doing the engineering and then by night you were on Broadway. That's a really interesting difference.
It was but there was time for that. And I think because I didn't have to do any heavy lifting in the show, then emotionally I wasn't like so drained or anything like that. So I was able to do both. But
that's really cool.
Yeah, but it did scale back once I came to LA. And that was sad because that's when I really kind of needed it, right? Then we started a family, and then the COVID hit and the strikes happened, and it's been tough. And for the last few years without really that engineering support. And I've had to like dig into all of the things that I squirreled away. But that's what it's there for, right? I guess. It was very hard for me. That's, I guess, a separate topic of beliefs and feelings about money, right? And I had to face some of those in having to spend some of my hard-earned savings and what that meant for my security and things like that.
I was going to say you were in such a different place, which, by the way, your kids are adorable. Darling. I just need to say that because I'm like picturing them as you talk about them. But that's just so interesting to hear that I don't think I was aware of that for you, that it's been less since you've moved to LA and taken on all these other things. As you said, like COVID, the strikes, you have a family, you have 2 kids now. That's interesting. Are you trying to get back into it a little more with the engineering, or?
That's a great question. Actually, just this year, I took on a different engineering consulting job. So it's more sales, but it's for a company outside of the US. And so they need somebody here in the US who can like make phone calls and that sort of thing. So I am now doing that as like a side hustle.
Okay.
And that actually happened because my dad was like, hey, he's been in sales for like a long time, like Asia Pacific sales, and for himself and for other companies. And I think that's just like who he is. He's a little, actually Michael Scott from The Office as a salesperson reminds me a little bit of my dad. I was like, oh, look at how he's just like really good actually at the business relationship
because Michael Scott always was. Yeah. He was really good at the business relationship part. That's true.
This is what my dad must be like. And he invited me to a trade show. He was like, why don't you come and we'll be with this booth and we'll like help out and you can just like see what it is. And there was a part of me that was just like, why not? Why not? I'll go. It'll, if anything, it'll be like a nice time with my dad, spending time. And like, he just always, this is how he is supportive, is that he makes suggestions about show business that apply to engineering and like sales things, you know, that other business things. So he's like, why don't you take the casting director out to lunch? And I was like, Dad, I don't think that's how it works. Although now I'm like, well, maybe
that's
we could.
actually smart. That's great.
That's a good idea.
My trick is always like, you gotta treat people to a free coffee or a free lunch and then at least offer, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes when you take someone out that is at a higher level than you are, they're going to offer to pay for lunch. And then fight
You're
you on it.
hilarious.
So, but
You're
at
hilarious.
least offering goes a long way.
Yeah.
Mm.
But I was always like, no, that's not how it works. Like they don't have jobs like right now. And like, they're only going to call me in when they have something for me. But now I am more open to see, I see that he's trying to help. And I see that like, he might be onto something about
just doing things differently.
Relationships are so important.
Just building
Yeah.
relationships.
Absolutely.
So I went to this trade show. It turned out to be one of the biggest tech trade shows like in the world. It's called CES. Like my husband was like, "What?
No CES.
You're there?"
Yeah.
Everybody else knows about CES except for me, but that's where we were. And then from that has come this new venture.
Oh wow, that's very
Yeah.
exciting. So this is newish.
This is new. Yeah, this is only since February.
Okay,
So,
wow, congratulations.
Yeah, and it's different. Sales is different, man. Sales is, woo. I started listening to some books about sales, and they're like, most salespeople, they won't call back after the first no that you get. And very few will call back after the second no. And I was like, who is calling after a no, after a hard no? Who is picking up the phone and doing that? Tell me your secrets. I mean, that kind of resilience.
And did the book say, but those that call after the third no, those are the good salesmen?
I was like, what are they saying? What is the thing that they're offering?
So this is a new pivot.
This is a new pivot.
For me, I'm just so interested in how you're so open to being a multi-hyphenate, right? Because at this point, you've become very good at juggling it, right? You've been doing it since your Broadway years or time. So then it just seems like a part of you is just so used to it now, right? Where like, I feel like other people in your shoes might be like, oh, I don't know how to get back into it. Like you just seem so naturally good at that.
Oh, well, thank you. I think part of it though is maybe just luck or being in the right place at the right time, or being a little bit open and vulnerable about what is my situation, and then allowing other people to help or add input, and then following those little instincts of like, well, let's just go see, let's go check it out. Sure, why not?
And that kind of leads into the question that I wanted to ask earlier, which is, I think viewers would be interested in hearing from you how COVID and the strikes have affected the industry from your perspective, right? Like, did you see the number of auditions that were coming your way go down during COVID, and then maybe go a little bit back up, and then the strikes? Like, can you tell us a little bit about, before and after in terms of the number of opportunities that were out there?
I think it was exactly as you said, which is like COVID hit and we were all just kind of in shock, right? And holding up. And our eldest was 9 months old at that point. So then it was like full time being home with her, which was actually great. We had our own little schedule and routine. And then after that, there was like kind of a surge as people started going back into production. And then with the strikes, it has been just, I feel like just devastated, the industry, and so many people left that there is this huge kind of scrambling of, or trying to hold on to what is happening, trying to hold on to what we have left. Mm-hmm. And I think there is a lot of uncertainty moving forward, but I also feel like this is probably also the time to start making something new, or start thinking about, well, what if it is devastated, what do we want to rebuild? Right?
I love that.
And it's always the artists and creatives who go into some like devastated area and like turn it into something amazing that everybody else wants to like move into, right? So I think
I love
that's the place we're in right now. And I've seen many more people, the ones that are still here, like reaching out and trying to create that community. I mean, even with this, like this podcast, exactly this, and letting other people know you're not alone in this, and that we are a community, and that it doesn't have to be like, oh, I've known you for forever, but just like a kindness or reaching out or letting someone know that you've been thinking about them is like enough. you know, to like,
emotional again.
I always get emotional. Christine, that's beautiful.
that was my goal for today.
Mission accomplished.
That's just so lovely, and just speaks to your, like, I love this, that you just always are like, I have this curiosity, what's next, and where can I go, and what can I do, and how can I be open, and how can I be vulnerable, and how much that has served you and other people in your life.
Yeah, and
really
I really
lovely.
admire you being open about it, right? It's like you've had an incredible, successful career, and then you're at a point where you're like, well, now I need to take this other thing on that is outside of my acting career, and that's totally okay for the moment, right? It's that honesty is really refreshing too.
I feel like you just go with the flow. You're just
Yeah.
like, all
I
right.
mean, it might look like that. It's more like, I'm like, I'm hemorrhaging money. Like, what is happening? Like, we have a problem. And like, I got to think of something else. And actually, I talked with Brian Kavanaugh, our mutual friend
Of ours.
now, who's in Days of Late and is now like a financial advisor and like financial therapist, I want to say.
Oh, that's a great way to.
Yeah.
I feel like he
great
has kind
career.
of become like
Therapist.
a financial therapist, huh?
Yeah.
I
or
didn't know
he-
there were financial therapists.
He's a lovely, lovely human friend of ours. And,
Yeah,
there's been a pivot of his.
Yes. And
We're talking about you, Brian.
so helpful, and yeah, just great. I highly recommend it. I mean, I was saying this to someone earlier, like, it takes courage to do a creative thing, to put yourself out there. It takes a different kind of courage to look at the numbers and see whether or not your creative enterprise is bringing back financially what you need to live. And if you don't have that stability, or that, you know, if you can't like live, then it's very hard to be still creative, or very few people can. I'm not the kind of person who is like, I'm just going to live on nothing, you know, and like somehow it'll all work out. I'm like, no, I need the nest egg, and I need like things in place. And when you're hemorrhaging money, then you have to look and see, well, how do I stop this?
And this is something I love you bringing this up, because this is what I think I thought about you when we were younger, is that I was like, Christine always had this other career. Christine always had this other thing going on where she could make money. And I wish when I was younger, I had thought a little more like what we're talking about right now, like Brian being a financial therapist and like helping people figure out where are they, what are their money needs, how are they spending, what is their money health. And I think that was always something I've taken with me as I've gotten older and realized what my relationship to money is and how I feel and what I need to do for myself. And there's always been this little part of me that's like, Christine got it right. Christine was doing the right thing. She was like doing this other thing the whole time that could help build up her financial stability. And I don't know if a lot of younger creatives get that or get that advice of like, this is something that's important and you want to work on at a young age, trying to figure out what you need financially and make sure that's still happening for you, even while you're pursuing your craft.
Yeah. And I know it's like unsexy to look
Totally. Which is why I didn't care. I was like, oh, whatever. I don't need to worry about that now.
But I do think also, at least for me, it makes a difference, right? If I am desperately in need of money and then I have this big job interview, it will affect the interview. Whereas like all of a sudden I'll come across as desperate, right? I don't know. And I was going to ask you, I don't know if that affects your auditions, right? Like if you're going into the audition knowing that your nest egg is okay, do you feel like subconsciously you have an easier time with it? Or can you just completely disassociate between I have zero in the bank, I need to nail this, but I can still relax into giving a great audition?
I think that desperation still comes in, not because I'm like, I need this money, but because I'm like, am I good enough? Or like, I want this job. And so that desperation still comes through, and I have to let that go. But I will say that since having a family, I've been able to let that go, mostly because I just don't have the energy to carry it anymore. I don't have the time. I don't have the energy. And I'm just like, well, let's just have fun, because it's 8 p.m. It was hard to get them to sleep, and let's just get this over. Or like, let's have fun like right now. And then.
Yeah, that's the best attitude for booking. Is when you're just like, I don't care. Anytime an actor, most actors will tell you that like anytime you're just like, I don't care, that's the one you book. And then so if that's your attitude, because you're like, I don't have the energy, this is what I'm doing right now, then that's a good booking attitude, I think.
I mean, maybe it certainly takes away like any desperation. I mean, you're still always like, oh, should I do it again? Was that good enough? But then again, your community, who is hopefully there, either like picking your takes for you, or I always outsource that, by the way. I'm like, can you please help me pick between these last 2 takes? Or like, should I just send both? Everybody else has an immediate strong opinion.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, just being able to say like, okay, I only have this much energy right now. Let me just focus on the scene. And what are we doing right now? And let me just be here with this other person. Let's just do it. If it's right, it's right. If it's not, then we move on. And then being able to
let it go.
Present.
Yeah.
Just so present.
And that actually leads to me, another question that I like to ask is about any helpful tips that you might have for listeners in terms of, you know, you talked a little bit about how to go in, like the mindset of going into an audition, which I think is so interesting. But, you know, having had all this experience, like, do you have any tips, acting tips or process tips that you think have helped you along your career in terms of memorizing lines or whatever else? Since I'm not an actor, so I don't know what you could speak to, but I'm just curious.
Making things as easy as possible for you goes a long way. And you somebody said that the process is iterative, right? Just asking those questions, and maybe this is James Clear's Atomic Habits, like just making those small tweaks to increase your performance, like making your self-tape setup easy to set up is like important. Like at one point I was like, I cannot open this foldy background anymore. I'm just going to paint this wall, and this wall is just going to be the background, and I just can't deal with it anymore.
That's great.
Having a space that I was like, you know what, I can leave my lights set up here. I don't have to like take them down every single time, because otherwise it's so much. I mean, we already have to put a face and hair and clothes on and learn the lines. Just set up as well is too much to have to do and then put away each time. I mean, hopefully you're in a place where you're like, oh, I just leave it up all the time, you know? Or I know people, they have it set on like connected to Alexa. So they'll just be like, Alexa, start self-tape setup. And the lights will just change in their place to do it.
What?
I know. Isn't that
Come
like,
on.
That is incredible.
Who's living that life? Who is living that life, and why is it not me?
well, now you can,
Now
right?
I can.
Or like,
I can try.
and I think having the people reaching out and just asking for help, even when you think that like, oh, it's going to be so much. Because I've had readers be like, this is really fun. And I'm like, thank you so much for taking all this time. And they're like, no, this is really like fun. And especially in a time when there aren't as many auditions, like staying, like working those muscles and being able to help someone is not only good practice for your reader and whoever you're working with, but also is like nice to be able for them to feel like, oh, I have helped somebody today. You know, like I did good work in this, and I helped to influence their audition in a different way by giving them something live to work with. And
that's a great way to look at that.
Yeah,
that's really helpful. Rather than thinking you're putting a burden on someone by asking them to help.
Yeah,
actually, they might be having a good time and
they
feel like they're helping you.
Yeah, and also, I mean, have like a couple of people, so you're not always asking.
Going to the same.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, don't burn that favor too many times.
Right.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about anything exciting upcoming that you're going to be in, or some of like your favorite bookings, or anything about your career that were highlights other than Chinglish?
Oh gosh, I mean, every booking is like such a high when you get it, and it's also work, right? Let's see, the last stage thing I did was Cyrano de Bergerac at Pasadena Playhouse. And that was so fun. Not only because of the show, which was super fun, but also all the people there and my own experience of being in it. I think it was maybe the first time that I was like, oh, I really feel like an equal, or I'm going to at least present myself as an equal with other people. And to let myself be a little bit more of who I am instead of like waiting to see how other people are going to be in this cast. I was like, you know what? I am kind of like a Midwestern mom. I'm going to like bring you some stuff because I know that you have a new baby. And like, I'm going to be like, hey, does anyone else want food? And then like just bring back extra food because inevitably people are like, yes, I want some of that. I have a Wayfair commercial. I'm still waiting to come out. I'm bringing in a wingback
I hope
chair.
they gave you some free products.
No, there were no free products because they were like, we still need all of this stuff. But that was also like fun too. I'm like,
I love commercial bookings. Commercial bookings are
I think
really
they're like
fun.
so fun.
Yeah, I thought commercial auditioning I love is super fun too.
Oh, I love
there's so much
it.
improvising.
Yeah,
and like,
that's true.
And when you get to a callback or you go back in or you're working, I feel like in commercial auditions I'm working. If I go in a room with another person and we get to improvise off of each other for a few minutes while we audition for this commercial, I just worked that day.
Yay!
I love that. I love those.
I am so curious because I worked on Kung Fu and it had martial arts. I wanted to talk about that, your martial arts experience.
I started doing martial arts in New York. Actually, I might have been thinking about it in Chicago, and then we moved, or I moved, and but I was looking for a physical activity that that could also add. I mean, I'd always done I was just looking for any physical activity. Let's just be honest. I didn't play any sports regularly. Even though people are like, you have the perfect volleyball build or you have the perfect swimmer's build. I didn't do any of those things. I tried out for the swimming team and I just was tired. I was like, this is it? Just more laps? They're like, great, more laps. And I was like, I come home and sleep for 2 hours after a practice. So I was just looking for something that was a group activity that I didn't have to do on my own that could keep me accountable. And I first looked into mixed martial arts. I did a lot of the Tai Bo and P90X videos, but that was just too hard on my joints, to hit a bag for an hour. And then when she was like, yeah, and here's the sparring ring. And when you get to a certain point, we'll give you a headgear and stuff. And I was like, oh, no, I can't be hit, I bruise very easily. I gotta
no
protect
one's hitting me.
Yeah, the moneymaker, I can't be doing any of this. And she was like, oh no, you wear a teeth guard. And I was like, no, I cannot with this. And so I think martial arts was the thing that really bridged athleticism and kicking and punching, but also dance. So the kind that I do now is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon style, not particularly practical, but I think beautiful to look at and really fun to do. And you can do it by yourself. You might have some choreography with someone else, but otherwise they're individual routines. And I don't have to get hit, hopefully, or I should not be getting hit in it. So yeah, that's why I love to do it. And I love the acting that goes into it. There's a certain point where you learn the moves well enough that it's okay, now we add imagining hitting somebody here or dodging someone here. The feeling, more feeling. I
love the way you described it because a well choreographed martial arts fight feels like a dance, right? It comes across like a dance. It's so beautiful. Point. Yeah.
Yeah. And it is, it's beautiful and it's cool. I don't know. You're opening a fan or wielding a sword. These are not things that I grew up thinking that I would be able to do. So now getting to do them is
so you have a
fun.
prop fan, a prop sword, and that's so cool.
You have a fan, a sword, a staff. I have a spear. I haven't worked a lot with the spear, but yeah.
All right.
The soft weapons, though, I will leave to other people. The whip chain, I was like, I see the beauty of this. I don't personally need to be able to throw around a whip chain.
Oh, whip chain, just the name of it, whip chain.
Yeah, you can swing it around and also shoot it out towards people. It's hardcore, but also I don't want to get hit.
No hitting. We're not getting hit.
You don't want to ricochet it back at your face.
Exactly. I will stick with something else.
The moral of this story is Christine does not want to get hit in the face.
If we take anything away today,
Yeah.
don't hit Christine in the face.
Yeah. I'm like, let's have fun while doing it. So yeah, that's why I do it. And also it gets me there. I'll drive almost an hour to get to the studio just to practice because I like it that much.
Wow, that's so great.
It's great.
So you've had such an interesting journey, Christine. We're so in awe of how you've been able to pivot and just all these wonderful things you've been able to make happen for yourself.
I just want to jump in real quick with what John, our fantastic producer over here, pointed out that Christine has had so much of her pivot and growth has been through personal connection when there can be so little of that in the world today. And that he is just in awe. And I love him pointing this out that a lot of your moments were you met your husband literally in person at the Chinglish show. And your manager, you literally met in person sitting next to them at a diversity show. And all these things where you just show up authentically as yourself. and end up having these like life-changing moments. It's just it was such a lovely thing for you to point out, John. Thank you for distilling it down like that.
Absolutely.
And so on that note, like, what were you going to ask? Like,
well, it was just along those lines, like reflecting back on your journey. Do you have any pearls of wisdom that come out on the, having been through the whole thing? Is like anything that you could tell your younger self, or even deeper than that, is there something that you are now currently like grappling with that you feel is like a growth point for you?
Yeah, it's been great to sort of listen back or relive some of these moments in my life, the highlights, I guess. The work is in those messy, uncertain moments. And if it doesn't go right the first time, it doesn't mean that's the end, So just to stay open, or to know that that's part of it, that it's okay for it to be messy. Like, for instance, I met my now husband at Chinglish, but we actually didn't like exchange numbers or anything that first day. He emailed me from my website in the playbill. He's probably one of the only non-spam emails that I've ever gotten there.
That's amazing.
Yes, and it's probably for the best. And at the time, I was seeing somebody else, and so it actually almost didn't happen.
Oh, wow.
He was just like, not trying to like straight up pick me up, but was like, as a native New Yorker, like if you ever wanted to like get coffee or like check out some of the New York stuff, like I'm happy to be your guide.
I think he was straight up picking. He was straight up picking you up. He was absolutely asking you out,
like,
right?
Team, right? Yes. I don't mean a lot.
I will show you the site,
right? And I had to be like, I'm seeing someone, and I probably would have said yes, except that the person that I was seeing was like, I don't feel comfortable with this. But then when that didn't work out, I was like, hey, you still want to get that drink?
There you go.
And just to be open. I guess that
I love that's a great example of you saying if it doesn't work out the first time,
if it doesn't
don't
work
worry
out,
about it.
And
like
it's okay. Yeah.
Because look at that. It did.
Yeah.
It did work out. Yeah.
It seems like you've had a lot of like happy-go-lucky moments that I think it's so great, the attitude you have towards life of like, let's just see. Like,
well,
you're very open to experiences.
I will add a caveat that I think I have a very selective memory as well, which I think really kind of serves me. Maybe like a little just general naivete, and then also a selective memory. Like once, sorry about
I love this.
my mom she came to visit, and she was like, hey, I really want to like apologize for what I said last time, when we had a fight. And I was like, what did you say again? And she was like, you are the most self-healing person that I know. You don't even remember. And I was like, well, I remember we had a fight, or that, we were upset, but I don't remember exactly what you said. She's like, forget about it.
That's hilarious. That's amazing.
Because it doesn't, serve in the end, or
doesn't matter.
And along the lines of what we were talking about off screen, you said that being a parent has forced you to learn some lessons, and that you are now like feeling like you have to impart some wisdom on your kids. I just wanted to see if you could.
She said she understands people better. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
You were like, I feel like I understand people better having been a mom. I'm very curious about that.
Yes. Since becoming a parent and listening to a lot of parenting books and podcasts in trying to understand my own children better, I now feel like I understand people better and human interactions better. For instance, Dr. Becky, she's great. She says 2 things can be true. And that is so applicable to so many situations. Like, your kid is having a hard time, and you are personally triggered by whatever is happening here because of the way you were brought up. Mm-hmm. So these 2 things are true. And I feel like so often that happens, right? With just between adults. And they're like, yeah, but then they said this thing to me. And like, now I feel really disrespected, or like, now I have to do whatever. And it's like, oh, hold on, maybe they're just having a bad day and you are triggered by this thing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And also I realized before I had kids, it was enough to be self-aware of whatever issues that I had. I was like, oh, these are my issues. Like, I felt like really self-aware, or like really good about being self-aware just because I knew what they were. But now as a parent, I'm like, oh, that's not enough. I have to get over those things and like be a different person and let go of whatever my issues were.
Wow. I have to actually change for my kids.
I have to actually change. Otherwise,
Wow.
I cannot give them the skills to be sturdy human beings themselves. Right?
That's so profound.
But
it is. That's
yeah.
incredible maturity too.
Absolutely.
My goodness, and wisdom.
Out of necessity. Right? It's always out of
I don't know that a
necessity.
lot of people would be able to do that. Even one recognize that's what they need to do, and two, be able to do it.
Yeah. And I think also it kind of struck me just thinking about people, right, where you said two things can happen or be happening at the same time, but also within one person, multiple things can be happening at the same time, right? So, a cranky kid has not had their, lunch, and so they're hungry, and then that's why they're acting out. Like that, the same thing happens with adults, right? Like they can be, there's multiple things happening at once, and it's sometimes hard to, like, you have to have patience with people, and you have to be like, well, what's going on in their lives? Like maybe they haven't had their cup of coffee yet, and here I am bombarding them with questions or whatever the case might be, right?
Right. It's like, I got this note that was like not delivered in a considerate way, and I was already having a stressful time with something else going on in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much of that, and then you realize like, oh, this is like unnecessary, and I think actually it makes it easier to like let things go.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're very much like, well, I did the audition and it's like all done. Like, I can move on with my life and like wait for the next thing, because that's how it works. Or just be open and trust that whatever is coming to me is coming to me.
I love that.
That's a great one to end on.
That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic. And that feels like it sums up your kind of life philosophy.
I remember at one point somebody asked like, well, what if I never book again? Of this question of the feeling of doom. Or I remember somebody asking that, or saying that they feel like that question hovers over them. What if I never book again? And I was like, well, that is a big question, but I think I'll book something again. That feeling of like, I'm not always sure what it's going to be, or maybe I won't be like, oh, this is the best thing, but I'm pretty sure I can book something. Maybe it'll be like a little thing, or somebody will ask me to be in their short film, but I think that there is room. There's always, for me, the belief that there is something else out there. It might not be the huge Oscar-winning picture or blockbuster action movie, but there's something, right? We can do something for as long as we're around.
Love that so much.
That's
because
incredible.
I think for writers especially, it's like we have this big fear of like, oh, we've worked in a TV room. What if we never work in a TV room again, right? But it's, to your point, you can go and write a novel and maybe sell that, or go write a short film and produce that. There are so many different avenues to find creative fulfillment, is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like, it's not that it'll never happen. Like, you're like, well, I could write copy, I guess, or I could write for my kids' newspaper, or like that, yeah. And then you realize how much you do have, and you're like, it'll be fine. It's just a downtime right now, and I'll just have to find something else to do.
Your belief system, it's great. I love this belief you have that there will always be something is fantastic. And
Positivity is really refreshing.
Yeah, and the openness around what that could be. You just listed off so many possibilities that I think a lot of people may not even think about. I can write for my kids' newspaper. You're right. There are all these things that can happen.
Yeah, that I can be useful in some other way. Or, but that's also how my life has been. Things have sometimes they just happen. They just come out of nowhere. And I think the more we look for those things, the more we see them and maybe invite them in.
So this has been so wonderful, Christine. We've learned so much doing this interview. We wanted to ask, where can we find you on social media? If you are on social media, how can people find you?
Great. I'm on Instagram. I'm at Christine, CHRISTINE, the number 2, Lynn, LIN. So that's where I am. I don't post a lot. I kind of will go on and just repost a bunch of like ridiculous things in my stories every once in a while. But otherwise, again, I have that blocker or that timer on Instagram. So I'm right there a lot.
You're not there a lot for a good reason.
10 minutes.
Thank you so much for being with us today, everyone. We hope you enjoyed Christine as much as we did. I'm sure you did. You're fantastic. What a great interview. Oh my God, I've learned so much about you. I never knew. I love this. This is my favorite part of this. So please join us for more. Hit like, subscribe, follow us wherever we are, and we'll see you at the next one. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.